News. We've fanned out across South Africa live from each and every province, and of course the Results Operations Centre in Tshwane. Peter Ndoro, my colleague, is there. Peter, what is happening at the Rock?
A very good evening to you, Francis. Well, it is T-minus, I think it's 1 hour 45 minutes now before the polls close officially. But we want to make a call out to everybody who hasn't voted yet. Please get to your voting stations. You have until 9 o'clock to be standing in the queue. If you're in the queue by 9 o'clock, they're not going to turn you away. Those that are in the queue by 9 o'clock are then able to vote. You still have an hour and 45 minutes to get to your polling stations. This vote is so important. So please don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to people putting you off. Get out there and vote. It is the right thing to do. It's your democratic thing to do. And I think you've still got time to get to a polling station. Remember, you can go anywhere in the province that you're registered. So the closest one to you will still be able to accommodate you. Yes, Francis, there's a hum now that's starting to build up here as people are starting to continue to build up in this room behind us, this floor, this hall. Political parties are here in their numbers. IEC officials working overtime trying to deal with some of the issues that are coming through by phone, some of the concerns that voters may have. And as you say, we're going right around the country, catching up on the ground like nobody else can. Our team literally in every corner of South Africa. And right now we go to the northwest, one of those provinces that's been contentious for some time. And our man on the ground there is Collen Lemawane. Let's cross to him now. Collen, good evening to you. We've got 1 hour 45 minutes to go. How has the day been? What's the situation now?
Well, Peter, the sun has set on the northwest province, but the business of the day has not yet been completed because people still have until 9 p.m. to cast their vote. Well, this day started very slowly with the rain in the morning. So many people were soaking wet and they were delayed in their homes as they couldn't walk to the polling stations. But when the rain stopped and the sun came out, then they went to the voting stations in their numbers. I've just returned from one polling station, which is a stone throw away from where we are now, which is the Mabato High School voting station. Well, there were queues which are starting to build up to become longer, but then it was very slow, and I wanted to find out why were the people taking long to vote. And when we got inside, one of the electoral officers told us that their scanner had broken down, so they had to do manual voting. So that's the situation. When we went around to check on how other voting stations were performing, it was just business as usual, and we were able to get a tip of that. In some areas of the northwest, there were employees of certain bakeries as well as chain supermarkets who were not released to go and vote during the day because their employer said that if they left, they would be in trouble. So then when we spoke to COSATU told us they were also getting reports that some farm owners didn't want their workers to go to vote. And when I spoke to Mr. Solu Petwe this morning, he told me that they were going to investigate that, and it is actually, the breach of the law and violation of the workers' rights so that they can be able to vote for the day. So the area of Mahikeng, Klerksdorp, Volma, Randstad and Lichtenburg were under the spotlight concerning this behavior of some employees, and we were told that COSATU is planning to take action against such employers. And at the moment, we had some pockets of resistance from areas that I will mention just now, but there's an irony in the northwest where the places which used to be called the hot spots were very normal today when it comes to voting, and there was just a harmonious process of people being in queues and going to vote, especially in Marikana. Who would expect that to be very quiet? And also in Mamusa area, there wasn't any activity. But then we got a report that from other areas deep in the rural northwest, like in the villages, there were villages called Sitabeng, Marinonyani, Konkwana, Konke, Mapitiki and Mabone. There were people who were stopping voters from going to participate in today's poll, and they were saying that their problem was service delivery. and they wanted the mayor to come and address them. We've been trying to get in touch with the mayor to ask why hasn't she address the people, especially in the Kagisano Molopo area. And we're still putting our taps on that story, and we will update you as it comes. Now, to just give you the dynamics of the voting process in the Northwest, there are about 29 political parties which are registered at the moment. Well, about 9 years ago, there was only 14 parties which were registered, but those that made it to the legislature were the ANC with 23 seats, and the EFF surprised everybody with 5 seats, and then the DA obtained only 4, with the Freedom Front obtaining only 1 seat. And if you look at the slogan of the Freedom Front Plus, they are saying that but we're just asking how, with these dynamics of 1 political seat in the legislature, are they going to slant terug, as they've been saying? But we're going to give you an analysis on how the proceeding went in terms of the statistics. And I have with me here Professor Andre Duvenwache from the Northwest University. Professor, thank you very much for making time to speak to us now. What has been your impression concerning voter participation throughout the day?
Good evening, Colin. My first point is it was relative stable in the province. Stable to the extent that people didn't expect it. Maybe we can explain it against the backdrop of police presence and the army on standby and so on, but it was very calm. Looking at voter participation and specifically voter turnout, there is an area of concern. We have about 1.7 million registered voters in the province. Only about 470,000, that's about 27%, voted up until now, and this is according to the IEC statistics. Now, maybe there is an administrative backlog and it will pick up later on, but this is a very low figure, and this is also confirmed in the Free State as well as other metropole areas, and this may be a dynamic that can change the whole picture of the election. What is
just when you say this dynamic will change the whole picture of the election, the ANC used to have a support of about 73%. Now it has dropped to 67%. What are the contributing factors?
Well, the contributing factors are a weak election campaign. There was not a lot of energy in the election. It is divisions within the context of the ANC and high levels of political apathy. People are tired of poor service delivery, and the service delivery is on such a low level that people are not interested or are resorting to some forms of violence.
When you talk about service delivery, this irony that in the Northwest province, people are complaining about it, but there's Forum for Service Delivery. And when you look at the issue of religion and Christianity, there's the African Christian movement, but these parties have been fizzling out. Why?
Well, people are not voting according to policy and policy principles. A more important aspect is the history and the tradition and the connection. If you are devoted to one party, you will keep to that party. And that is very clear in the history of elections in South Africa. And that is also applicable to Christians in terms of the ACDP as well as other groupings. You are voting according to your tradition.
Professor, there's this concern that political parties, especially on the opposition benches, are performing dismally. What do you make about the DA's 4 seats and the Freedom Front plus 1 seat? Where is the white, colored and Indian vote going in the Northwest?
Well, that is an open question and we wait to see for it, but my assessment at this point is that the minorities will either vote Democratic Alliance, Freedom Front Plus, ACDP or maybe COPE. Now, these parties are in competition with each other about this vote. But the interesting one at the moment is the dynamic within the ANC. If the voting percentage is as low as the indications are, then this may make the proportion of support of the smaller parties bigger at the expense of the ANC.
Right, Professor, thank you very much for making your time. There you have it, Peter. Just a synopsis of voting today. Out of the 1,700 voting stations which will close after 9 p.m. this evening, we will keep tabs on that story and we'll give you an update later. Back to you, Peter.